I had to modify this plate. As you can see, as I'm pushing it, it's already going in. I love how clean and everything is all nice and shiny. Yes, it's been a while. We're finally back since December, of course. If you guys remember, I dropped off the block for machining in December, I believe December 6th. It's been a while. It's March, end of March, I should say. But here it is, the M50 stroker, which means it's a 2.8 liter, all forged internals. I guess it's a forged crank from 2.8 liter. Forged rods. We've got forged rods, forged pistons, all the goodies that's necessary. And now you're gonna ask yourself, why are those bolts, the tops are yellow? The plate that's supposed to sit over here on top of it for the oil pan needs to be modified. It's because of this reinforcement plate and different bolts. What we got going, when you install this, basically would not fit. So I had to modify it, cut out bigger holes and modify it in order to get this mounted. Basically, we're going to start assembling this engine as much as possible until we pull that one out and swap everything from that one to this one. So let's get started. Did get the nut, the special nut that's already drilled, so we can lock the pump. With a wire, though not with a wire. Obviously, I'm gonna put a red Loctite on it right now, and then continue with the whole assembly of the rest of this. All right, so the nut that goes there is a 17mm shallow socket, preferably. For what you do, you actually put some Loctite on it. Don't be afraid to put it, nothing's gonna happen. Worst case scenario, it will never come off. That's technically what we want. And it's left thread. Once we thread this in, actually lock the engine with a screwdriver here. And what we're going to do is get it up to 17 foot-pounds. That's where we're at. About 17 foot-pounds. And now I'm gonna feed the wire and lock it nicely. So I'm going to continue with assembly of the block in just a minute. What I want to focus right now is on the reassembly of the head itself. So I'll show you guys how I think is the best way to do it, not to get the cam bent or cracked by any chance, snap in half. And this is how you pretty much get to do it safely. There's few methods. One of them is actually purchasing the BMW special tool that requires you to spend a lot of money, which is like $600 or so. Or you can just put pressure on cylinder number 1, which is E1. Or the safer way is where you preload 2 lobes, so on E3 and E5. if you look inside, they are pretty much touching the cups. And so it's the same thing on E5, which you will see the cups touching, the cams touching the cups right on this side. So now when you put the pressure on E3 and E5, it will press the camshaft all nicely together to where it's supposed to sit. Of course, don't forget to lube everything. Make sure there's some oil, just like over here. We want everything nicely lubed, so when we have the first start, there's not going to be any starvation for, well, there's going to be starvation for oil, but not as much as it potentially could damage the engine. Here we go. So 3 is touching here, and 5 is touching right here. And slowly quarter of a turn on E3 and E5 to push the camshaft in. So as you can see, as I'm pushing it, it's already going in without any issues. I started torquing everything down. I thought it was supposed to be the way it should be, and I thought I read somewhere that it was 20 inch-pounds. I mean 20 Newton meters. So I went back to check because it just seemed way too much. And yeah, it is way too much. It is not 20 Newton meters. And what we're looking at is 14 Newton meters of torque. And you start with number 4 and work them out. So pretty much we start with a center. Let me move this away. We start with basically the center and move your and move out. So what I'm going to do is loosen everything up again and redo the whole procedure, but you guys don't have to see that. You'll see what I do with the other camshaft. So let's remove the intake and do it again. I double checked every single nut at the end of the procedure. Then I moved it back to the marks. As we can see, the lobes in the front are facing each other, kind of, which I guess that's how it's supposed to be. And I think this is the way the head is ready to be mounted to the actual block. So now let's move to the block area and start working on that. Put some studs in and continue reassembly. Here is what I like to do is put a little bit of silicone. 1, 2, and I'll do the same thing on the other side as I assemble the engine. So what I'm doing right now is basically putting the bolts in and thread them in a little bit. I want to make sure this oil pan stays on the engine itself, simply because I don't want anything to fall inside, but I don't want it to be absolutely fully locked in, so that way I can still put the silicone in case we're ready to assemble everything else. I love how clean and everything is all nice and shiny. Nah, probably not for long. This drawer right here contains this magical box, and this box contains a 625 aged ARP fasteners. So this is what I'm going to put in to the block to get it ready for the head and everything else. So what I have done, I just put a little dab of silicone, basic silicone, nothing too special, simply because this gasket, it keeps falling off. So this will actually make it stay on for the remainder of the installation of the cover. Here you go. Just a dab of silicone never hurts, and it makes the job slightly easier. And like this one is a little bit I would say bent out of shape, sort of. So this will lock in here and actually stay nicely, so that way I have enough time to feed the bolts through and put it onto the front. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So yet another reason why you want to keep the oil pan gasket just caught on, the bolts just caught on, simply so you can insert the front cover. Otherwise there's just not enough room for you to, it is there enough room, but it's going to be really difficult to get this situated and aligned. But what I want to do, take this bolt, of course I put some anti-seize on it just in case I need to ever take it out. What I want to do is assemble the front, the ball gear and everything else, simply so we can make sure that we are in top dead center when it comes to putting the head on and everything else. Okay, so make sure your key is in there. And don't go too crazy cleaning this section off with like a abrasive or anything like that, because we want the seal to actually hold, because we don't want any leakages, and just oil leaks on the BMW are extremely annoying, and so is overheating. So this has a notch. Basically it will just go in. You look for the notch. Installed. Got the gear on. I think it looks pretty okay. It will match most of the other pulls. That's not what we're here to do. What we're here to do is to open the other package right here that contains the head gasket. The mighty cut ring head gasket by Athena. I want to follow the original procedure for the basic N50 studs. It doesn't matter that they're 625 or not. So I'm going to follow the same procedure, except, and the same torque sequence, except for one change. What we're going to do is we're going to do 4 sequences. Well, what's going to happen is 25 pounds first, 50 pounds next, 75 third, and 84 pounds on the last one. Why would you do 84 pounds on the last one? Why would you do 4 instead of 3? Is I talked to my guy that provided me with the parts, and he said that this is what they do on their cars in Europe, and it holds. So I'm gonna trust the guy that does this thing for a living, and I will do 4 of them basically within, he says to do one sequence, wait about hour, 2 hours to second sequence, etc, etc. So that's what I'm going to do. It will take some time, so pretty much the whole day, but if it's worth it and it's not gonna leak and it's gonna hold power, might as well. Ready to do the first sequence. First sequence out of 4. What we're going for is the torque sequence pattern over here, and we're doing at 25 pounds. Alright, sequence number 2. 50 pounds. I'm gonna this 75 pounds right now. We'll wait until tomorrow, and tomorrow we will recheck and then actually go to 84 pounds. It's the first one. I know this will take a little bit of strength, so try not to laugh. There we go. God damn! Good workout in the morning. Okay, so now that the head is torqued to 115 Newton meters or 84 pounds, I'm gonna let it sit for a few hours, then I'll just recheck them to make sure everything is good to go. Okay, so the engine's out. Finally. Yeah, I pulled it out with the transmission simply because for some reason E36 doesn't have a mounting for the engine lift or hoist in the back. Weird. Oh, actually it does, right here. Duh. So see, that's something I learned too. This is your hoist point, yeah, I guess. Very weird spot. That's might probably damage this when the engine is going up. Anyway, she's out. I mean, this thing is out. Now, I would say I am probably, give or take, about 55% into the project.